History was made last night on NXT Battleground as Trick Williams became the TNA World Champion after defeating Joe Hendry. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the NXT Battleground review. It's your girl, Denise Salcedo, and I cannot wait to talk about this show. Here's the thing. We all know what went down here. Joe Hendry, TNA champ, defending against Trick Williams in the main event of Battleground. That was history within itself because we've never seen the TNA World Championship defended on a WWE program. So that was within itself a big freaking deal, right? Now, going into this matchup, every single week I cover NXT here on this channel, and I thought to myself, dude, I think Trick Williams is going to win. Now, granted, with Trick Williams and Joe Hendry, you have two very popular individuals because Trick Williams has been a very popular guy on NXT. Joe Hendry, though, has been a popular guy both while he's made appearances in WWE and, of course, in TNA. But my gut from the very, very beginning was saying it's most likely going to be Trick Williams. And the reason why I felt Trick Williams was going to win this was because Trick Williams, he's okay, first of all, he, like I mentioned, he is over with the NXT audience, but also I think this was more so about WWE and TNA really solidifying this relationship. And you got to understand, they obviously want people to get like huge, they want people to react to what they're doing, what they're putting on the show. They want people to be talking about their program. So what else was going to get people talking other than Trick Williams winning the title? So I felt like it was very crystal clear that Trick Williams was going to take this, even though he's the heel in this, even though Joe Hendry is slightly more popular, maybe a little bit more, maybe more than slightly more popular than Trick Williams. But okay, there's been mixed feelings about this, all right? So I've been seeing online, people are like, what the hell? Joe Hendry really dropped the title to Trick Williams. Why did they have him do that? Blah, blah, blah. And then I've seen people that are like, oh, hell yeah, like this was cool. So, because I already had a feeling this was going to happen, I was not shocked whatsoever. I thought that it was super obvious Trick Williams was going to win. So, I want to talk about the pros about this because I, for one, am 100% on board with Trick Williams as TNA World Champion. Now, I'm going to start with Trick and why this is a good thing and why this is also a good thing for WWE. So, if you guys recall, a couple months back, maybe last year, I forget which PLE, might have been SummerSlam. I don't really remember which one, but I asked Triple H about the WWE TNA partnership, and I said, why are you guys doing it? What's the reasoning, right? And Triple H said, we want to make our wrestlers better. Like, this is a place where they can go and they can have matches and they can grow and get better as performers. You got a lot of people on NXT that are very talented. You got people that are former athletes now turned pro wrestlers. A lot of these people did not have the training that, for example, that an independent wrestler did, right? That went and did all of the indies and worked with so many different people. A lot of people on NXT don't really have that. And you have them kind of just working with people that are slightly in their same level or whatever, right? They, to become bigger, better wrestlers, need to work with people that are a little bit more experienced. Trick Williams has a lot of tools. Like, Trick Williams could be a WrestleMania main eventer someday. Trick Williams already has the personality, he has the style, he has the look, he has some mic skills. He's got a lot of things, a lot of the components that make up what a WWE superstar should be. But the one thing that Trick Williams still needs to work on is becoming a better wrestler. And that's not meant to be a knock, of course, but you guys know, if you're watching here, the bar is set really, really high. In order to become a WrestleMania main eventer, which is the goal, is you need to be really up there. You need to work your way into being as strong as a wrestler as you can possibly become. So I see Trick Williams winning the TNA World Championship as a pro because I see Trick Williams using this time to compete against some of the top guys in TNA where he can put on, or excuse me, he can learn from some wrestlers that are very, very experienced in terms of making him a better wrestler. So this is a good thing for Trick Williams because defending the TNA World title against wrestlers he probably would not have worked with before this, now he's going to work with them, be put in high pressure situations, which is defending the TNA World title, and against people that are far more experienced, thus making him a better wrestler and making this investment for WWE's partnership with TNA worth it. Because if Trick Williams becomes a better wrestler through this, then this dude's got the whole package. He's going to go on to go to the main roster. He's going to go on to be a WrestleMania main eventer. And suddenly WWE is cashing in on, again, this investment, this collaboration with TNA. And just even pulling up the roster right now of people that Trick Williams can work with that are, definitely very, very skilled. I'm just going to go in order. Moose, Steve Macklin is one of those. Eddie Edwards, who's a really, really good wrestler. Brian Myers, who has trained a lot of wrestlers. Eric Young, another really good wrestler. Frankie Kazarian. And I'm just pulling up a couple of names right here, right now, but just those are a couple right off the bat that I'm looking at that I'm thinking to myself, dude, if he works with these guys, Nick Nemeth, if he works with these guys, he is going to really improve as a overall performer. So I think this is a really great thing for Trick Williams, and it's really smart for WWE to do this, again, to get a return on their partnership and invest in their professional wrestlers, because at the end of the day, what do we want? We want to create and build for the future so that the future is bright, because, we've seen it go. Our favorites, they grow old. Unfortunately, Father Time just gets all of us, and we got to bring in the new people to build stars and keep things strong. Now, some of you guys are probably thinking, well, Denise, that's fine and dandy for Trick Williams and WWE, but what about Joe Hendry? Well, let me change my focus now to Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry was TNA World Champion for not that long, actually. A couple of months, and now, unfortunately, he's no longer champion. But here's the thing about this is that Joe Hendry, we got to look at the big picture here, right? We got to look at the long-term plans. I'm not exactly sure when Joe Hendry's TNA contract is up, but we all know Joe Hendry is going to be WWE bound, all right? I mean, at this point, we just know it, right? We just know it. And so Joe Hendry has already been rewarded in so many other ways. Like, dude was in the Royal Rumble, got a moment with Roman Reigns. Then he had a WrestleMania match. Granted, it was a very short one, but the point is, he had a WrestleMania match against whom? Whom, may you ask? Randy Orton in his 20th WrestleMania match ever. So how many guys would not kill to have the opportunities that Joe Hendry has had? Those are just a few. There's been more that I didn't even really name, but those are the two big ones. And so, sorry, two big ones. Pause. All right. Anyways, so damn it. All right. I'm trying to think where I was at. I totally lost my train of thought after I started thinking about the two big ones. All right. What am I doing? Keep going. All right. So Joe Hendry has gotten those two big moments. And so for that reason, I think we know that WWE hopefully does reward Joe Hendry once he does, get done with TNA, become a WWE superstar, whether he goes to Raw or SmackDown or decides to stick around in NXT a little longer. Who knows what's going to go down with that? But I do believe that Joe Hendry will get rewarded, as he has been, for being a team player. So when the time comes to make decisions, when the time comes for cool shit to happen, people are thinking of you in a positive freaking way. I mean, okay, Randy Orton. He had said that he was the one that wanted Joe Hendry to be in this WrestleMania matchup with him. And that's what you want. You want people vouching for you and saying good things when you're not in the room. And the only way to do that is by doing the work and doing what's asked of you, even if it doesn't seem like the very, like the very best at the second. But I do think Joe Hendry will reap positive rewards from this. So that is why I'm not down in the dumps or anything like that about Joe Hendry losing his TNA title to Trick Williams. So right now, I'm seeing this as pros across the board. As for the matchup itself, I thought it was far better than anything I had expected out of Joe Hendry and Trick Williams together. Particularly, I loved the pacing of this match. And also, it was interesting too, because at one point, Trick Williams debated using the title to, cheat. In the end, he kind of did, but it was quote unquote accidental because he ended up Joe Hendry ended up having his face get hit with the title, but without Trick Williams actually hitting him with it. So even though it happened that way, Trick Williams, hit his trick shot and then gets the victory. So he kind of cheated, but then kind of didn't. I don't know. You guys can go ahead and argue that in the comments. But anyway, so that was the real big thing that went down on Battleground. That was the biggest talking point. So I want to work my way down, though, to the next biggest talking point, in my opinion, was the matchup that we saw with Jordynne Grace and Stephanie Vaquer. So Jordynne Grace and Stephanie, my goodness, guys, these are two girls that just are so freaking experienced, man. This was the best match to me of the entire NXT Battleground night. They just went out there and had a wrestling match. One of my favorite parts was when they kept going back and forth with having the other girl in the tombstone position. They kept going back and forth with that. I thought that was really cool. I enjoyed the part where Stephanie put Jordynne through the barricade. I mean, they really went full throttle in this, and this was exactly what I had anticipated. By the way, when they first announced this match, I thought Jordynne Grace was gonna win. I thought Jordynne Grace was gonna win, and I thought that Stephanie Vaquer was gonna move over to the main roster. I was totally wrong, but as I remember this past Tuesday, though, I started to think to myself, given that Worlds Collide is coming up, I feel like that's the reason I started to change my mind, because I think that Stephanie Vaquer had to go into Worlds Collide as champion. And even on Battleground, we had some altercation between her and some of the AAA girls, as well as also JC Jane. So everybody's coming after Stephanie Vaquer. I don't know who her eventual opponent will be for Worlds Collide, but regardless, she needs to go in as a champion, Let's get some Latina flavor and all of that. All right, so loves that match. Best match of NXT Battleground by far. So now I do want to talk about the other match that I really enjoyed. Another women's match that we saw that I thought was really great was Ruca and Kelani Jordynne. So Ruca and Kelani, they are no strangers to each other. They're both very similar competitors where they have the gymnastics background. We've seen them wrestle together before at Heatwave, which I love that match. Hot take. Well, I don't think this is a hot take, but I did like their Heatwave match far better than their NXT Battleground match. I just thought the Heatwave one was just really, really good. And that's not to say this one was bad at all. It's just that I did prefer the Heatwave one match as well. You guys can let me know in the comments which ones you guys liked most. But this one was exactly what you anticipated it to be. It was just acrobatics, both of them trying to, get one up on the other. They had a really nice sequence in the beginning where they were trying to fill each other out, and they both basically had each other's number, and I thought that was really cool. In the end, Ruca gets the win. What I liked about Ruca, and what I have been liking about Ruca for a while now, is that she always finds creative ways to pull out the Soul Snatcher. The Soul Snatcher is one of the coolest moves right now in pro wrestling. And the thing that she does, though, is she finds all of these different ways to kind of execute it. And I mean, come on, look at the way she won at Stand and Deliver. Very cool shit, right? And then she goes into this match and again defeats Kelani Jordynne with that Soul Snatcher. really, really cool stuff there. I thought this was a pretty damn good match. Probably my second favorite match of the night. So kudos to them. Now, before I continue on with the rest of the matches, I do want to take a second to talk about the NXT North American Champion, Ricky Saints, because some things have been sort of announced. As you guys know, he's been beefing it with Ethan Page, and this has been going on for quite some time. And he was doing an in-ring interview, and this led to a melee between him and Ethan Page. Ava, our GM on NXT, has absolutely had it with these two. So on NXT this Tuesday, we're going to see Ethan Page versus Ricky Saints once again. Now, the winner obviously will go on, become champion and or retain, whatever, and go on to Worlds Collide to defend the North American Championship, which I love because let's not forget, North America also includes Mexico. So hey, anyways, I don't know why I felt the need to throw that in there, but throwing it in there. Anyway, so I'm excited to see what they end up cooking. I'm assuming Ricky Saints is still going to retain his championship, and he's going to be the one fighting himself at Worlds Collide. So I'm excited for that, and I feel like as we get closer and closer to Worlds Collide, I'm excited. I'm excited because I still don't fully know what to expect. I hope it doesn't let me down. I'm very, very passionate about obviously being Mexican. I'm very passionate about lucha libre, and I'm pretty passionate about seeing those people succeed. So, and especially in this type of format, even cooler. So I'm really hoping for the best out of this. We'll see. And so those were really my favorite moments from the night. I do want to go ahead and get into, though, before I forget, Femi defending the NXT Championship against Myles Borne. So Myles Borne is relatively, this was the biggest match that he's ever had on NXT. Even though he's not a new person on the show because he's been there for a while with no quarter catch crew, he's relatively new in the sense that he's being propelled a lot higher on the show now. Having had this match with the Femi, the champion, that's a pretty big deal. I thought Myles Borne killed it, dude. I thought he killed it. I thought he did the very best he could possibly do, and he looked pretty damn good in that matchup. I think now moving forward, Myles Borne needs to be consistently shown like that on NXT and have feuds with guys like Ricky Saints, have feuds with guys with like Lexus King and all of these other guys that are, not in the NXT championship picture. I think that Myles Borne can be utilized there very, very well until we continue to build him up, build up his character. Because right now he's a good performer, but there still needs, there's still some other things that need to be added to him in order to be presented as a top tier WWE superstar. When you saw that Myles Borne was the competitor for Oba, it kind of got people going, oh shit, like that's not really like a big matchup. And it's clear that they didn't really have anybody else for Femi to face, but Myles Borne went into this match recognizing that that's the conversation and went into this match with, maybe a little bit of a chip on his shoulder with something to prove and say, hey, you know what? I do belong here. And he had to not only prove that to the fans, but also, show that to the people backstage and let them know, hey, man, you guys gave me this opportunity. I'm going to give it all I can. And I hope to God that you guys continue to give me more opportunities. So congratulations to Myles Borne on that. The one match on the show that I necessarily didn't feel too hot about was Tony D'Angelo and Channing Stacks Lorenzo. And this really wasn't your, wrestlers kind of match. It was a fine little matchup here. It was more so about the story between Tony D and Channing Stacks Lorenzo, having been former friends and all of that. There was a part in this match that I kind of wish would have been tweaked a little bit because, Tony D was like pounding on Channing Stacks, getting him with a bunch of shots to the head, right? Punching him. And he at one point decides to back off. He backs off and he starts to think like, man, what am I doing? Like, this is somebody that I used to love. This is somebody that I cared about. Why am I doing this? Like, what the hell? And I kind of wish they would have milked that more, where I would have really wished to see Channing Stacks Lorenzo. I wanted to see him taunt him more because one of the things he had said was that Tony D was soft, right? And I think he should have taunted him more and been like, hit me, hit me, do it. Like, don't be afraid. And I feel like they skipped past milking that a little bit more. And I also didn't think that the Luca Crucifino thing was like, it didn't feel like, I know they were, we hadn't seen him in a second, but it didn't really feel like that big of a deal to me when he came back. And then the distraction with him and Tony D leading to Channing Stacks Lorenzo win. I wish that they would have felt, I wish this match would have put over Channing Stacks Lorenzo as an star on NXT a lot more. I felt like this was still more so about Tony D than it was about Channing Stacks Lorenzo. That's how I felt about this one. So this was probably my least favorite matchup of Battleground. The other thing that I did like on the show, we had a match with the Calling versus Hank and Tank and Josh Briggs. Now, if you guys watch my NXT post show, you guys know I'm a fan of Hank and Tank and Josh Briggs as well. I like those guys. I think they got a lot of energy. I like the meatiness. Y'all know I'm a fan. But I thought this match was good. I thought they really brought a lot of intensity. But this was an NXT Tuesday matchup. It wasn't a Battleground matchup. So there you guys go. That was my thoughts on NXT Battleground. What did you guys think primarily about Trick Williams becoming TNA World Champion? And what was your favorite match of the night? Go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. If you guys enjoyed this video, please feel free to check out my Saturday night's main event review. You can check that one out. And if you enjoyed my content and want to see daily pro wrestling content, make sure you guys subscribe here to my channel. Catch you guys on the next one. Bye, everyone.